Yo, so this is the badge video. I did make a tendency video explaining everything in that. If you want to watch that, the link will be in the description and I'll have it at the end of the video. First off, we're going to get into personality badges. These are usually only going to affect my GM, my league, that sort of stuff. If you're not here for that, I'll leave a timestamp. So unlike regular badges, these don't have levels. You either have them or you don't. So Alpha Dog, they're the best player on the team and they know it. That's kind of just how they play. Enforcer, they want to use their body a bunch. Very physical players. Reserved, just have a reserved personality. They don't talk a lot. Like I said, a lot of these stuff is for my GM. You're not going to even use this in a league. If you're just watching them play, you're not going to notice if they have reserved or not. Friendly, that's another thing that's just my GM related. They'll get along with your other players pretty easily. Now, team player and extremely confident are against each other. I can't have both of these equipped because they're opposites. Team player, you want to move the ball a bunch. You care about winning more than anything else. Extremely confident. You want to take all the shots. You care about your numbers. You care about your minutes. This does affect my GM a little bit, but if you're watching a game and they're going down to the last seconds, extremely confident guys are going to want to take the last shot. They usually will. So it's not a bad thing to have this on. I have it on for my good players. Now, high work ethic and legendary work ethic are another that you can't have equipped at the same time, although they are kind of the same thing. High work ethic players, they want to stay in the gym when other people leave. Legendary work ethic is like some Kobe stuff. They're going to put all their time into playing basketball, getting better, that sort of thing. So if you want your player to be extremely good, legendary work ethic, this is going to help when you have high potential guys in a league that you maybe draft them into and you want them to get maybe to 99 overall pretty quickly. Legendary work ethic, they're definitely going to get there. As opposed to high work ethic where they're probably going to get there, but they're not going to do it as quickly. Now, keep it real is 100% just a my GM thing. If you're talking to one of your players or stuff, if you have keep it real on, then they want you to be completely honest with them. Whereas pat my back, they want you to coddle them and be nice to them when you give them criticism. Now, expressive, if they dunk, if they have a good defensive play or something, they're always going to celebrate. If you want your character to be very out there, then that. Unpredictable, they either don't or they do celebrate. Laid back means they kind of chill about whatever they do, very D-Rose-ish. Media ringmaster, so these guys really like being in the spotlight. But what this badge actually does is they want to live in metropolitan areas. So areas like New York where there's a ton of stuff to do, these guys like living there. If you're trying to negotiate contracts or stuff, or if you're watching a My League and seeing how it plays out, they're probably going to go to those types of cities over other ones. Warm weather fan, anywhere there's warm weather, they want to live, same exact thing. Finance savvy, they care about the taxes in certain areas and stuff. It's weird, 2K tried to just implement some sort of thing to give characters more personality, but it doesn't fully work the way it should. They don't affect too much. If you give a player enough money, whatever, they'll play for your team. Now into inside scoring. So acrobat, any cradle layup, euro layup, hop step, anything. The more you raise this, the higher percent that they will be able to finish those types of layups. Or in situations where they going up for a layup and they double clutch out of it into a different form. It does help with finishing those. Teardropper only helps with floaters and runners, but it will affect some layups. So if you want your guy to be a good finisher, I'd have it up a tiny bit. You don't exactly need it. Relentless finisher, this has absolutely nothing to do with helping you finish. It only makes sure that you don't lose stamina when you keep going to the basket over and over again. Post-spin technician is pretty self-explanatory. You're just better and better at post-spins the more you upgrade this. Drop stepper is another post move where you kind of just body your opponent, take a big step around. If you want your character to be big and strong, be a post presence, you definitely want this pretty high. Putback boss. Now, online, this is not going to help you very much. But in 2K, if you're watching the league and stuff, maybe. So every time you get an offensive rebound and you put it right back up within like 2-3 seconds, the percent of you making that shot is raised. Now, if you play online, then you miss a bunch of standing layups. You know how that works in 2K. This won't stop that. You're still going to miss. But against bots and stuff, if you're watching, it does help. If you want your character to be like a King's DeMarcus Cousins who just always gets his own rebound and puts it back up, you definitely want this. Back down Punisher. Now, even if you have good strength, if somebody has the opposite to this badge, which is moving truck, which I'll get into later, then you want back down Punisher. I have a guy that I play with online. He has like 99 strength, but I still have back down Punisher because you need it. And if you get the ball a little further from the block than you want it, take 1 or 2 dribbles, you're already in the paint. So it helps a lot for post scores. Consistent finisher. So if you are getting bad releases on your layups, this is good. Another thing you can do online is pair consistent finisher and acrobat together. When you're going up for a layup, just hold X again or use the right stick again, and your character will break out of that layup into a different type of layup. It will force you to get a bad release because you did that, but it can stop you from getting blocked. And if you have acrobat and consistent finisher, which allows you to finish hard layups and finish layups with a bad release, they go together and you can make those sort of things. Contact finisher, this is how you get contact dunks, and it also helps a lot with contact layups. If you want your character to actually make things in the paint, you definitely need contact finisher. It is the best finishing badge in the game. Cross key scorer is, it doesn't really trigger very often. It's for like a D'Angelo Russell type of player who kind of slithers around the screen and stuff, holds the guy behind him. Tiny floaters inside the paint when they're running laterally to the basket, which is actually what this badge does if you're moving laterally to the basket in the paint. So if the goal was right there where I'm looking and I'm moving this way and I shoot it like that, then that's laterally to the basket. To be honest, this badge is pretty useless online. Nobody plays like that. 2K doesn't really let you play like that. Those shots don't go in. This badge is probably not worth getting. If you have 30 finishing badges and you want just a little bit more so you can be a little finessey around the rim, sure. For leagues and stuff, it's not going to hurt you to have it on, but it doesn't trigger very often. The bots don't really play in a way that uses the badge. They either go straight to the basket or they pull up before they get to the basket. They're not going to run laterally to the basket. They're just not designed to do that. Now, deep hooks, it literally just helps you make hook shots further and further from the basket. You at least want it bronze if you want your guy doing hook shots. Silver is kind of a little bit further from the block. Gold is right around, like right before the free throw line. And Hall of Fame, just anywhere you can. Pick and roller, so once you're running a pick and roll, if you are the guy that set the pick and then you roll to the basket and get the pass and try to finish, in those situations, you will finish at a higher rate, going up and up depending on how high you have this up. Fancy footwork. So whenever you do a hop step or a euro or even a spin layup, having fancy footwork up higher will make the animation be much quicker and will actually have you spin correctly according to like how the guys are guarding you. So if your guy keeps doing spin moves into somebody's knee and you're dropping the ball, it's probably because you don't have fancy footwork. Now, fast break finisher does actually not help you finish on a fast break. All it does is it boosts the takeover meter when you finish in a fast break situation. Giant Slayer is another great badge for finishing. It's probably one of the best ones. Anybody that is taller than you, you will get a boost finishing on. So if you want a 6-foot guy, 6'1" guy, even if your dude's 6'8", you're eventually going to go up against somebody who's 7'1", 7'2" as you're driving to the paint. Giant Slayer is going to let you actually be able to get much more animations, different animations that'll let you finish around them or through them. And it actually gives you a bigger boost depending on how much taller the guy is than you. So if they're 6 inches or taller than you, then you'll get the full boost of it. But you're still going to get a boost if they're even 1 inch, 2 inch, or 3 higher than you, up to 6. So unless you're 7'3", I kind of recommend you get it. Now, how Pro Touch works is it'll give you a very slight boost to making layups if you time them correctly, which online it's still not going to make certain layups go in. This train is super annoying. But for my league and stuff and that sort of thing, it will help. Just not super much. Showtime, that's another one where you just get a boost to your takeover meter. If you do something showtimey, very flashy, if you do a dunk or something, big block, you will get your takeover meter up pretty quickly. Slithery finisher, now when you're going to the basket and you initially start the gather of your layup, not the actual layup itself. So before you even jump, but you've told your character to shoot, the game is either going to slide somebody over to you because it's 2K and they do that, or they're not going to do that and they're actually going to let you be open for once because you got yourself open. So if you have Slithery Finisher Hall of Fame, then some random guy who's over across the block isn't going to just slurp to you and make this a bad shot all of a sudden. So that's why a lot of guys online, they like to use Slithery Finisher and Contact Finisher so that when they actually drive to the paint, somebody doesn't just suck over and the guy stays under the goal so that they can dunk on them. Now we're in the outside scoring badges. Catch and shoot. It's pretty simple. If you just caught the ball and you shoot it without dribbling, you'll get a much higher boost. Online, you will definitely feel a difference having this at every single rank. Gold is way better than silver. Once you get this gold, you will feel it. Hall of Fame, it's a little unneeded, but it definitely will help even more. It'll help your shot feel way easier to time. Corner Specialist is pretty simple as well. It's literally just going to boost the percentage that you make threes in the corner, and it will also help you make short corner mid-range shots. Now, just to get something clear, a lot of people don't know this. I don't know why. If you go over to the hot zones, this is the corner right here. And I'm not saying you don't know what a corner is, but look at how big this zone is. It even stretches into the wing a little bit. So if you have corner specialists, you don't have to just sit directly in the corner. You can kind of move anywhere within this zone and you still get the boost from it. Now, difficult shots, you definitely want this badge if you want your guy to be able to make pull-up jumpers, if you want him to do step backs. Anything where he's taking a moving jump shot, you're going to want this. Pick and popper is kind of the same thing as pick and roll, except in this situation, after you set the pick, you come off and get the ball for a jump shot. It'll just boost the percentage that you make it in those situations. Clutch shooter is just going to raise the percentage of you making clutch shots. I believe it's anywhere under 3 minutes left into the game, or any time in overtime. Clutch shooter is going to kick in. So how Deadeye works is if a defender is closing out at you while you're already shooting it, so he wasn't already in your face when you started the shot, he's over here and then he's closing out at you as you shoot, then he's not going to affect you as much as if you didn't have this badge. Deep fades is almost the exact same thing as deep hooks, except it will help you with post fades. This will not in any way, shape, or form help you with step backs or anything that's just a deep fade away. It has to be a post fade. Flexible release is pretty similar to consistent finisher. It allows you to take slightly worse releases and have the ball still go in on jump shots, not layups. Green machine, so online a bunch of people have green machine and I don't think they understand really what it does. So green machine gives you a boost to making shots if you consistently get green after green after green in a row. This does not mean you will green more, which is kind of the thing that people think. And even on Hall of Fame, this badge really doesn't kick in until you've greened about 2 or 3 jump shots in a row. Now, every shot after that will have a boost to it. So if I green 3 shots in a row, and then my next shot is a full bar white, that white will probably go in because of green machine. It will not help me green more. Hot zone hunter. So as you've seen earlier when I went into the hot zones, if you have hot zones in certain areas, then when your character shoots in those areas, they will make it at a higher percentage. This does not mean that they will shoot it in those areas. You have to do that in the tendencies, but they'll be more likely to make shots in those areas. So hot start. If your character comes out in the game and they make their first 1 or 2 shots, it will be very easy for them to get hot. Ice in veins is kind of like clutch shooter, but it only affects free throws. So clutch shooter actually doesn't affect free throws in the clutch. Ice in veins does. So if your character is a pretty bad free throw shooter, but you have that one shooting badge that you don't know what to do with, you might want to put it in ice and veins just because if you get fouled late into the game, you want to be able to make those free throws. Now, Pump Fake Maestro is only going to help you against computers, and they're only going to help you in a My League setting where you're just watching your player play. Anytime they do a pump fake, there's just a higher percent that the bot will jump at it. That's all that is. Quick Draw. This is everybody's favorite badge. You shoot quicker. From bronze all the way to Hall of Fame where you shoot in a split second. The higher the rating on this, the quicker you will shoot. Range extender. So this used to be called limitless range. It still is the exact same thing with a twist. So with range extender, you can shoot threes deeper and deeper from the 3-point line. So if you want to make a Curry type of guy, you definitely want this gold or Hall of Fame. Now, this badge also helps with deep twos. So every now and then, whenever you shoot a shot on the actual line of the 3-point line and it's a deep 2, you're probably going to miss it if you don't have range extender like Hall of Fame because it counts towards that for some reason. So if you want to make a guy who only takes mid-range shots and can't even shoot threes, then you kind of want to think about getting range extender so you can shoot kind of deeper mids and still make them. Slippery off ball just makes it a little harder for defenders to stay with you when you're running off the ball. Past screens and stuff, trying to get open for jumpers. That's kind of all that is. I kind of forgot to mention this. It's not a very good badge. If you know how to guard off the ball, you really don't need it, but it's not going to hurt for your offline characters. Steady shooter. So this badge is a little controversial. So with Deadeye, if the guy's already closing out at you, but you've already started your shot, it's going to affect a little less. But steady shooter actually means that the guy is already in your face and you were taking a bad shot. So what this does is it'll boost the percentage that you make bad shots, with the exception that it'll make you miss open shots more. So if you have this Hall of Fame and you are wide open, you're going to miss more than if you just didn't even have the badge at all. Tireless shooter, even when you get tired, you can still make your jumpers. That's all that is. Volume shooter, as the game goes through and you take more and more jumpers, every shot you take that's a jump shot will make you better at shooting the next one. So if you want to be like a Carmelo Anthony sort of guy who shoots 25, 30 shots a game, sure, volume shooter is definitely your badge. Now, ankle breaker. It actually used to be a way better badge back in the older 2Ks, but now it kind of just makes your guy get stunned a little bit when you make certain moves. He's not really going to fall, but it does introduce the chance for him to actually fall. Flashy passer, it will just make it easier for you to do flashy passes, and it'll actually boost the takeover meter when you get an assist off a flashy pass. Break starter, if you just got a rebound and you're going to Kevin Love throw it all the way down the court. With pinpoint accuracy, you want break starter. I would either not have this badge at all or have it gold or Hall of Fame. It's not really going to do anything in between those two. Lob City passer just makes your lobs a little more accurate. Sometimes you'll be able to throw a lob because you have good pass accuracy, but you'll throw it down to like his knee or something and it can get easily tipped. If you have Lob City Passer Hall of Fame, you're going to throw it in way safer areas, but it's not a must-need badge. Dimer, so this is probably one of the best playmaking badges. Anytime that you pass to a teammate, if they take a shot, it'll be way increased percentage that they make it. So even if I give you the ball and you take 3 dribbles and you drive into the paint and make it, I get the assist for that because that's just how 2K works, the dimer still kicked in. Even with all these finishing badges and stuff, I've noticed way more people make crazy layups because of my dimer than any of their badges actually working. Bailout, if you have this bronze online, you don't really need it much more than that. Now, bailout helps you pass out of jump shots and layups. It does a lot between unequipped and bronze. Once you get this bronze, you're going to notice a complete difference. Most people don't need to make it higher. If you have it any higher than bronze, it'll just make them not fumble the pass whenever you kick it out, and it'll be a little more accurate. Downhill, so when you're in a fast break situation and you have the ball, you will be quicker than others. So if you want your character to be like a Derrick Rose or Russell Westbrook who's just going to speed past other people while they have the ball in transition, you definitely want downhill. Dream shakes. So this is kind of like getting ankle breakers in the post. If you do shimmy shots, which you can make your character do with tendencies and whatever, every now and then a defender's just going to get baited because you shimmied on them and they're just going to fall off to the side. It handles for days. This just allows you to do way more dribble moves before you actually get tired. A lot of guards have this online because the stamina drain is pretty nutty. Needle Threader. So this badge, nobody really got it when the game came out, but it has shown itself as one of the best badges in the game now. And for all the wrong reasons. If you ever try to make a pass and it just went off some kid's knee or went off his face or you just didn't even pass it around him at all, it's because you didn't have Needle Threader. Needle Threader is actually going to allow you to stop throwing it into their face and actually whip it around defenders and throw it very pinpoint if you're making bounce passes and that sort of thing. Now that I have Needle Threader online, I make way more bounce passes. Pass Fake Maestro, this badge is pretty pointless in most situations, but it just means that the computers will fall for pass fakes more often. That's all it is. Quick First Step is one of the best playmaking badges. Anytime you start a drive, you'll just get an animation dice roll of how fast you do it. And if you have Quick First Step Hall of Fame, you'll have a higher dice roll, basically. Because even when you have it Hall of Fame, whenever you start a drive, it'll sometimes give you the slow drive animation. There's really nothing you can do about it, but having a Hall of Fame will just make sure that you're able to explode off the dribble way more often. Space Creator. So this actually helps with snatchback dribbles and step back animations. This will not help you make step backs. This will just make them easier to do when you're dribbling. If you ever done a step back animation and then your character just immediately fumbled, it's because you didn't have Space Creator and you couldn't dribble out of that step back. This badge is the reason that a lot of players just run up the floor and do an immediate snatchback to try to cross you. Space Creator helps with that a lot. So stop and go. If you were dribbling the ball and you're driving and then you stop your momentum, if you were to drive again, normally it would be very slow. But if you have stop and go, it'll make you be able to stop and then go. It's pretty self-explanatory. Tight handles. This will actually help you cross people a lot more than Ankle Breaker will. I kind of wish they wouldn't split up Ankle Breaker into 3 separate badges. Ankle Breaker used to be Space Creator, Tight Handles, and the Ankle Breaker badge now, all into one, and it used to be way better, but whatever. Unpluckable, so it'll be harder for people to rip you when you're dribbling. It's not very good online. It actually doesn't work most of the time, but if you want it to happen a little less often, I would get Unpluckable. Now, Floor General is actually a very underrated badge. Anytime that you are on the court, all 4 of your teammates on every single one of their offensive attributes is increased. So if you have it bronze, then everybody on the court that's on your team has every attribute on offense increased by 1, silver increased by 2, gold increased by 3, and Hall of Fame increased by 4. So for an example, if I have an 83 ball, but you have Floor General Hall of Fame, it is now an 84. This is good if you're making one of those like LeBron type of guys who make their teammates better. This will literally make your teammates better. I also forgot to mention here that the badge does not actually apply to you, only your teammates, and if multiple people have this badge on your team, it does not stack. So Pickpocket, this is going to help you actually rip people when they're dribbling. Online, it doesn't help that much, but in my league and that sort of stuff, if you're just watching your guy play, you want him to be that sort of on-ball defender, Pickpocket is definitely good, although it doesn't change the percentage that it's a foul. So you still have to be careful with that. Rim Protector, you'll just block more often. It's pretty simple. Pick Dodger, if you get screened, you're going to be able to fight through it way more easy instead of just getting brick-walled by it. Chase Down Artist is going to help you get blocks in transition. It usually doesn't trigger if you just get beat off the dribble. It usually only triggers in a fast break situation, but I would still put it on your offline guys if you want him to be that type of LeBron guy. And online, if you're using it, having it unequipped versus bronze is a big gap. Having this bronze, you will definitely notice a difference. Clamps, so this is probably one of the most used defending badges. When you're guarding the ball, it'll help you body up your defender. So if the guy doesn't have that great of ball control, and you have Clamps Hall of Fame, for example, whenever he even touches your body, he's just going to stop, fumble it, and pick up the ball. Now, Defensive Leader actually does the exact same thing as Floor General, except on the defensive end. So whenever you're on the court, everybody on your team has higher defensive stats of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Heart Crusher, so if you get a big block, it'll just increase your takeover meter. Now, Interceptor, you'll be able to steal passes in the air. He will not actually go for those steals unless you have the tendency set that way, which you can watch my other video for that. Intimidator, this badge is so terrible that it's amazing. Anybody near you, just in your entire aura of you as a player, just doesn't make shots. If you're in the paint and you're completely on the other side of the basket, somebody that's going up for a layup might miss simply because you're kind of near them. It also affects jump shots and everything. It is probably the best defensive badge for all the wrong reasons. Now, Lightning Reflexes is actually a terrible badge. Sometimes when you're guarding the ball, it'll give you a little arrow telling you which way they're going. Lightning Reflexes, if you have it Hall of Fame, will tell you sooner whether they're going left or right. Now, 2K is not an arcade game. Even if you go right, they can immediately counter left, and just because you see an arrow doesn't mean that you're fast enough or you're going to lock people up now. It's only for people who are pretty terrible at the game and need all the help they can get, and it still doesn't help that much even then. I do not recommend getting this badge on anybody. If you're making an offline guy who's supposed to be a good defender, then it won't hurt to have it, but I wouldn't recommend it for online play. Moving Truck. So this is the opposite of Back Down Punisher. Whenever somebody's trying to back you down in the post, if you have Moving Truck Purple, they are not going anywhere. Even if you're going against a guy who has 99 strength but doesn't have Back Down Punisher because he thought he didn't need it, then you having Moving Truck Hall of Fame, he will not be able to back you down. Off-ball Pest is going to allow the defender to stay with guys off the ball when they run around screens and that sort of thing. Not actually through the screen, you would need the Pick Dodger badge for that. But if they're trying to juke you, make moves on you, they're going to be able to stay on you for the most part. Online, this badge doesn't really do much. It can't really help you if you're just bad at guarding off the ball. You're just going to have to get better. I wouldn't recommend it. Pogo Stick. So this badge, whenever you jump for a block, you'll be able to immediately jump back up for a block. Online, it's pretty good, so you can just spam Y. You pair this with Intimidator, and people just won't make shots around you. But it kind of rewards you for being a bad defender, so I wish it wasn't in the game. But if you want your guy to be very mobile, very defensive, Pogo Stick is definitely good. Post-move lockdown. So when you do drop steps, when you do hop steps, when you do any move in the post that is supposed to body you, post-move lockdown is going to help you actually defend those moves and not just get bullied. Now, if somebody's still doing a post fadeaway or something, the most you can do is just put your hand up and contest. Having this badge isn't really going to help you there. Tireless defender, so when you're playing defense and you're bumping into people and being very rowdy, you won't get that tired from it. So if you have Trapper, then when you are doubling somebody, It'll be much easier to force a jump ball animation. You're most time not going to get a steal. It doesn't really let you do that. But it's good if you're trying to make like a rowdy, like Patrick Beverley sort of guy. Now into the very limited badges of athleticism. Lob City Finisher just allows you to make dunks off of lob passes. You don't really need it offline or online if you're just a good dunker. But if there's like 3 people under the paint and you want to be able to make that dunk, then Contact Finisher isn't going to completely help you. Lob City Finisher will be needed. Probably like silver. I wouldn't do much more than that. It's not that needed of a badge. So Brick Wall, whenever you set a screen, if you have Brick Wall, Hall of Fame, whatever, your screens are just more potent. You're going to hit the guy harder. He's going to get caught in you more and more and more. Brick Wall Hall of Fame, they will actually, I believe it's Hall of Fame, where they start actually getting the animations where the guy will hit you and just fall to the ground. Now to the rebounding badges. So box, whenever you box somebody out, it's going to be very hard for them to get around you. You're just going to be able to hold them behind you and get whatever position you want. Now worm is basically the opposite badge to box. Whenever somebody has you boxed out, you're going to be able to slither by them, step around them, get better position to get that rebound. Now Rebound Chaser is the best rebounding badge out of these 3. If you don't have Rebound Chaser, your guys just kind of lackadaisically just be like, well, you know, whatever. The ball's going to fly over his head. If you have Rebound Chaser Hall of Fame, your guy's going to run up and snag it. You definitely want Rebound Chaser if you want to rebound the ball. And those are all the badges. If you want to make more characters offline, if you don't understand what the tendencies do, I have a video for that, which will be linked either now or in the description, wherever you want to watch. Like this video if it helped you. Leave a comment if you want me to do some type of tutorial of something in this game that you do not understand. I know basically everything about this game. And I stream on Twitch pretty often, which I'll also link in the description. If you don't want to wait for another video, you could probably catch me live there and actually ask the question yourself. Alright, now get out of here.